He did not fidget. He did not look back at the family seated behind him. He simply sat there, in that Boise courtroom, on July 2nd, 2025, with the kind of stillness that does not come from innocence. The judge looked directly at Brian Kohberger and asked him one by one whether he had killed each of the 4 students. Kohberger answered yes each time. No emotion. Then the judge asked how he pleaded to each count of murder. He said, guilty. 4 times. Just as quickly. Just as flatly. Not a tremor. Not a pause. Just 4 words. Dropping into a silent courtroom, one after another, like a door closing on everything that came before them. For 2.5 years he had said nothing. He had let lawyers speak for him. He had sat through hearing after hearing with the same composed expression he wore that morning. And then he ended it. No statement, no explanation to the people whose lives he had hollowed out. When the judge gave him the chance to speak, before his sentence was handed down, Kohberger told him he respectfully declined. He had walked into that room carrying something, not guilt in the way most people carry it, something quieter, the same composed expression he had worn in every hearing for 2.5 years, a secret that had lived inside an ordinary graduate student's routine, hiding in plain sight until one overlooked detail began pulling it all apart. This is that story, and it starts with 4 names you need to remember. He knew this street. He had driven past it before, more than once, more than anyone on the outside had any reason to notice. But on the night of November 12th, 2022, 4 people on that street had no idea he existed. Kaylee Goncalves was 22, Madison Mogan was 21, Zana Knodel was 20, Ethan Chapin was 20. Kaylee had already accepted a job offer at an IT firm in Austin, Texas. Her future was not a hope anymore. It was scheduled. Madison had been her closest friend since childhood. Not the kind of friendship people describe, the kind people simply recognize the moment they see it. The 2 of them were roommates at 112 2 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. Zana and Ethan were together. People who knew them said the same thing every time, that you could see it just by looking at them. 2 people at the very beginning of something real. Ethan was a triplet. He had worked on a tulip farm and was devoted to his siblings. Zana's older sister had been counting down to the day the 2 of them would build something together. That Saturday night, Kaylee and Madison went out in Moscow. Ethan and Zana attended a fraternity event just 200 yards from their home on King Road. None of them went to bed with any reason for concern. Verified reporting confirmed through the arrest affidavit that Kaylee and Madison arrived back at King Road at approximately 1:56 a.m. Somewhere not far away. He was already moving. In the days that followed, between 25 and 40% of University of Idaho students chose not to return to campus. A quiet college town was suddenly trying to find language for something that had none. He had built something carefully, a reputation, a trajectory, the kind of life that reads cleanly from the outside and invites no difficult questions. Brian Christopher Kohberger was born on November 21st, 1994. In the summer of 2022, he moved to Pullman, Washington, to pursue a doctorate in criminology at Washington State University. Criminology, the systematic study of criminal behavior, of patterns, of selection, of how and why someone crosses a line that cannot be uncrossed. He was not studying it from a distance. Washington State University in Pullman sits less than 8 miles west of Moscow, Idaho, 8 miles from King Road. As a teaching assistant, he moved through an academic world that gave him structure, access, and the quiet authority that comes with institutional belonging. But people were paying attention. The university received 9 separate complaints from faculty members, administration staff, and fellow students about his conduct and his treatment of women. A mandatory training class for the entire graduate cohort was held as a direct result. 9 complaints, on record, months before November 13th. He was formally removed from his teaching assistant position on December 19th, based on his behavior and overall performance. Then there was what investigators found when they looked deeper. Police uncovered a Reddit survey Kohberger had posted, directed at incarcerated individuals, asking how emotions and psychological traits influence decision-making when carrying out a crime. He called it academic research. A search warrant for his Amazon purchase history confirmed he had bought a military-style knife, a sheath, and a sharpener 8 months before November 13th. 8 months. He had not stumbled into any of this. Every detail had been considered. Every step taken with purpose. In the middle of an ordinary academic life, something else entirely had been taking shape. He thought he had been careful, and in many ways, he had been. But being careful is not the same as being invisible. While Moscow processed its grief, he went back to his routine, his apartment, his campus, his ordinary-looking life. After November 13th, a fellow student told investigators that Kohberger stopped bringing his phone to class, and that she found it strange he never once joined any conversation about what had happened in Moscow. Everyone around him was talking about it. He was the only one who said nothing. On December 7th, 2022, Moscow police made a public appeal for information about a white 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra seen near King Road in the early morning hours of November 13th. He owned that car. Surveillance footage had captured it making multiple passes near the house. That same vehicle was then tracked, taking what appeared to be a deliberately indirect route back toward Pullman, arriving at approximately 5:30 a.m. The cell data told its own story. Records placed his phone in the vicinity of King Road at least 12 times, going as far back as August of 2022. Hours after November 13th, his signal reappeared south of Moscow, moving back toward his apartment. Then there was the photograph. A selfie recovered from his phone, time-stamped at 10:31 a.m. on November 13th, roughly 6 hours after the 4 students were found, shows him smiling at the camera and giving a thumbs up. 6 hours. In the days that followed, his digital records show he searched online for the term University of Idaho Murders. He was tracking exactly what the world knew, and what it did not. Investigators later found he had used software to wipe many of his devices before they could retrieve evidence from them. He had thought of that too. By mid-December, he and his father were driving east, 2,500 miles back to the family home in Monroe County, Pennsylvania. During that drive, he was pulled over twice within a 9-minute window on Interstate 70 in Indiana. A state trooper looked at him and let him go. He drove away, believing distance was the same thing as safety. Back in Pennsylvania, investigators were already going through his family's trash. DNA recovered from that trash tested as a high-probability familial match to whoever had left DNA on the sheath found at the scene. That was the moment the arrest warrant was signed. He had driven 2,500 miles, and the one thing that gave him away had never left that bedroom. On December 30th, 2022, before the sun came up, they came for him. Pennsylvania State Police and the FBI moved on the Kohberger family. Home in Monroe County in a pre-dawn operation, they found him in the kitchen, wearing examination gloves, placing trash into separate Ziploc bags. He was still trying to be careful, right up until the moment the door opened. He was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. Days later, he was extradited to Idaho, booked into Latta County Jail, and ordered held without bail. His attorney said he looked forward to being exonerated. He said nothing himself. While he sat in that jail, cellmates later told investigators that Kohberger watched the news coverage of his own case with what they described as visible interest. One cellmate said he looked at the screen and remarked that he was on every channel. He was watching himself become a story, and that appeared to suit him just fine. On May the 17th, 2023, a grand jury in Latta County formally indicted Kohberger on all 5 charges. At his arraignment 5 days later, he chose to stand silent. The judge entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. 2 more years passed. Hearings, filings, legal maneuvering, the same composed expression across all of it. The Latta County prosecutor filed formal notice of intent to seek the death penalty on June 26, 2023. And then, after 2.5 years of saying nothing, he made a choice. Not the choice of a man who had found remorse, the choice of a man running one final calculation. Kohberger accepted a plea agreement. Guilty on all 5 charges. The death penalty came off the table. He permanently surrendered his right to any future appeals. On July 2nd, 2025, the judge asked him directly, by name, whether he had caused the deaths of each of the 4 students. He said yes, 4 times, without hesitation, without turning toward the family seated behind him. They had waited 2.5 years for that word, and when it came, it arrived without explanation.
Did you, on November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being.
Yes.
Kaylee Gonzalez, a human being.
Yes.
Xana Kernodle, a human being.
Yes.
Ethan Chapin, a human being.
Yes.
Without acknowledgement, without a single thing that resembled an understanding of what had been taken, before the sentence was handed down, the judge gave him one final opportunity to speak. He declined. The judge then said what the room already knew, that there is no reason for what happened that night that could approach anything resembling rationality. Kohberger was sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole, plus 10 years for burglary, and ordered to pay $250,000 in fines and $20,000 in restitution. He will die in prison. Kaylee had a job waiting in Austin. Madison had a best friend who needed her. Xana had a business to build alongside her sister. Ethan had tulips to plant and a family that adored him. They had everything ahead of them. Investigators confirmed they never found a connection between Kohberger and the 4 students. They still do not know why he chose that house on that street on that night. The only person who holds that answer chose not to speak and walked into a cell carrying the one secret that nobody could ever take from him. The families of all 4 students are now jointly suing Washington State University, alleging gross negligence and wrongful death, citing the 13 documented complaints filed against Kohberger before November 13th and the institution's failure to act on them. The case is closed. The questions it leaves behind are not. At what point do 13 documented complaints become a warning loud enough to reach the people who needed it most? There is no clean answer, but 4 families are still living inside that question every single day. Leave your thoughts below, and if you stayed this far, you already know why this story is impossible to walk away from.